Hey guys, I'm giving away an Xbox on the channel this month, so if you want to get it, you need to make sure you like, subscribe and hit the bell on my YouTube channel because you'll get notified when I send a video live. And if you comment on that video, you'll be entered into the giveaway. Any video that you've commented on that has had this intro throughout the entire month will guarantee you an entry, and I'll be doing the draw in about 3 days. So we are very close towards the end of this competition, so make sure you get your comments in. Claytana is also giving away a PS4 on this channel. And this video is going to be primarily about looking at meta compositions and how to build them, as well as playing advice. See you soon.
Hey guys, I am at... Oh, I'm going to close this. I am at the Riot offices, and I am in one of their sound booths. So hopefully my sound quality is much, much better. And actually it's probably going to show you that you don't need a good quality microphone to get good quality audio. You sometimes just need to have a really well insulated room. So, although you don't know, I've been hosting the LEC, which is the League of Legends European Championships, which is the highest tier of League of Legends competition in the European region. And I've been hosting it, which has been an awesome experience for me because I never thought I'd be able to do it. And the fact that I've kind of done my first weekend now is really nice. And that's why my content on Friday and Saturday was garbage, and that's why my... Not that you thought they were garbage, but for my standards, I didn't think they were very good. And that's also probably why you saw my microphone quality pretty poor over this week, because I've been using my laptop and I didn't bring... Because my setup at home is a big sound external card wired up to a big microphone that's really good quality. My whole room is like the whole room I record in is like this, you know, foam everywhere. So I just couldn't get that at my hotel. Plus the hotel Wi-Fi is so bad that uploading a video... I have to come to the office to upload a video because uploading it at the hotel takes about 6 days. So I want to do the video that I've done before, which is basically doing compositions and telling you what the best compositions in the meta right now are. I'm going to start with what I think the best composition in the meta right now is, and then I'm going to do the second best, then the third best, and the fourth best, and the fifth best. So I'm going to start off with what I think the best composition in the meta right now is, and that is Beast Warriors. If I can just keep this screen incredibly still. Warrior. So you want to have Tuss Champion. You want to have Werewolf. They give you your 2 beasts to start off with. You want Abyssal Guard, you want Doom, you want Pirate Captain, and then you have basically a choice of warriors to add on the end of this. I usually opt for Berserker, but because Swordman is also very strong right now, you can definitely take Swordman. And those would give you the base 6 warriors, 2 beasts. And then you add either 2 beasts, so you can add Poisonous Worm, and then you can also add Razor Claw, so it's quite an expensive build to get online if you go for this particular route, and this gives you a level 8 build. However, you don't need to have 4 beasts. This gives you a very strong front line, but you can actually alter this build quite a lot. But if you want to take a screenshot of a build to work towards, as a basic Beast Warrior build, this is your basic Beast Warrior build. You can actually sub out some of the beasts, and then you can go for a slightly different build. So for instance, you could take out, let's say you could take out Razor Claw, Poisonous Worm. You could then add Siren, so you can add Siren for the Marine bonus, and then you can basically add whatever you want at level 8. Usually you try and aim for like some other form of synergy, so you could also add Storm Shaman if you wanted to. If you really wanted to go anti-mage, you could add any legendary, to be honest. Just going down to the 5 costs. Oop, realise I can't do that. Any legendary, you know, in this situation. You could also, if you really wanted to, cut Tuss Champion. Let's get rid of her. Let's add another beast. You can add Poisonous Worm, and then you can go something like Warriors. Let's have a look at the Warriors. We need to add Berserker. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got this setup, and then you can add, because we've got 2 Warlocks now, you can add any kind of Warlock. I would probably recommend going for a Desperate Doctor, because that will give you the Glacier clan bonus to your Duke Berserker, so this is another good variation of the build. But if you just want to add some Armor Shred, you can add Venomancer. If you want to add Anti-Knight capacity, not that this build is bad versus Knights, by the way, this build is very good versus Knights anyway, you can build Dark Spirit, or you can just add Soul Reaper if you just want to add another guy who's going to give you some sustain as well. But that was the basic build, and these are some of the alterations. The way that you play this build is usually very easily just by going warriors. So you basically build up from warriors. I usually end up with the early game something like Abyssal Guard, Tusk Champion, I usually have Red Axe and Swordman, and then I try and pick up a Werewolf, and then whatever 4-cost warrior. I usually go to 6 warriors, basically, straight away. Pick up any poisonous worms. The combination of Tusk Champion and Werewolf is very strong. You're wanting to level 2 your Tusk Champion, level 2 your Abyssal Guard, level 2 your Swordman, if you can, level 2 your Werewolf, and then you can very easily transition out of warriors into Beast Warrior. This build is a really, really good mid-game build because you generate so many units with Poisonous Worm and with Werewolf. You can do a lot of damage to people. It spikes really hard around round 25 to round 30. It will start to fall off as the game goes later and people start to get big 3 stars, but this is a build that you can also get some 3 stars in with the likes of Tusk Champion and Abyssal Guard, for instance. So it's a really, really strong build, probably the strongest in the meta right now. And with the buff to Warlocks, it makes it much more flexible, and you can add Warlocks in really easily too, so it's just a good build in that respect. It is generally good versus everything except for something like Mages, God Mages, because they just can't kill them quickly enough. But it beats Hunters, it beats Knights for the most part. It's very, very good in the mid-game versus anyone trying to build into Mages, but in the late game, you're probably going to lose to Mages a lot of the time. It's one of the most consistent builds out there, though. That's why I'm putting it at the top of my ranking. It's so hot. It's really hot in Germany right now, and this is just making it much hotter. I'm sweating like crazy. Let's take a look at the next build that I think is very, very good, and I think that's just a 6 Hunter build. Now, the way I like to build this is with, obviously, the Hunters. So I tend to go for these Hunters plus, unfortunately, this team builder hasn't been updated with Shining Archer, but imagine Shining Archer is in there. So this gives you your 6 Hunters. And then on the front, I like to add a Warpwood Sage. I'm just going to go Druid because I can't spell Druid. I like to add Warpwood Sage, I like to add Razor Claw. I think they're pretty solid front lines. The reason I like to do that is because Warpwood Sage gives you the feathered bonus with Shining Archer. So I feel like this is like a really strong variation of the 6 Hunters. There are different ways that you can play this, of course. You can sub out Skull Hunter for... You have to imagine that Shining Archer's in here, by the way. For Tsunami Stalker, if you're going up against Mages. If your Skull Hunter's level 3, you don't have to. But yeah, you can sub Skull Hunter in for Tsunami Stalker. It gives you the Marine bonus. The other way to build this with Skull Hunter is the Warrior frontline. So you can have Doom, Pirate Captain, and Werewolf as your front line. Perfectly viable way to build this. You can also just have the pure God of War front line. So this is something that Oren likes to do. He likes just the 6 Hunters with the God of War front line because it gives you a level 7 spike, and you have a big front line in the form of a level 3 God of War, but that is getting a level 3 God of War, so that is pretty difficult. So yeah, I think 6 Hunters is a really strong in the meta right now. 6 Hunters beats a lot of things. It will end up... It can beat Mages with positioning, but it beats everything up until the super late game. If you don't get your 3 stars, you're going to end up losing to things like Glacier Knight, and you're going to end up losing to things like fully stacked warrior compositions, but it's very good at spiking super hard because you get 6 Hunters quite early on. Plus you can chain CC, plus a lot of the item drops favour Siren right now because it's quite easy to get a Refresher Orb if you're pretty lucky. I've had so many games where I picked up Refresher Orb and Siren. The way that you build this, it's really simple. The way that I usually end up building this, literally these 3 in the early game, or with a Shining Archer, obviously if she was here. Not these 3, what am I talking about? Where is it? These 3. This is like a really... You can put anything with these 3. The 3 Hunter buff is really strong. Aegis Ranger at level 2 is pretty good. Shining Archer, Wind Ranger, you can have those 3. Skull Hunter's of 2 costs, he's pretty solid to get. But with the new 2 cost Hunter, it's really easy to activate a 3 Hunter bonus in the early game. So you just do that. You put a solid front line, whether that's Goblin, Mech, or whatever. Bam! Bob's your uncle. You can go into a 6 Hunter build. So yeah, I think it's a really strong build right now. So the next build's going to be a 2-in-1 because I'm going to talk about Mages. Now, the very strong Mage build that is floating around right now, and you've probably seen it across many, many streams, is this 6 Mage build that doesn't require any legendaries to get online. You can then replace some of those mages with legendaries, and your front line is basically Ogre Mage, and then all you need to add is Pirate Captain. And then you can add whatever you want after that, realistically. It's whatever your team needs. Storm Shaman, whatever. But this is like 6 mages with level 3 Ogre Mage and Pirate Captain as your front line. And that's it, that's where it spikes. And then you just ride it from that point forward. You can add a Storm Shaman for the extra damage, of course. But that's basically how this competition works. It's pretty easy to get online. You go Ogre Mage, you go the Source, you go Shining Dragon or Flaming Wizard. You get a 3 mage buff early on. You just pick up all the mages that you can. You can lose streak into it, you can do whatever you want with it, and it's a very, very powerful late game build that has the addition of God of Thunder, and it has the addition of Blight Sorcerer if you need it. So it's just a strong build in that sense. But I want to talk about my personal variation of mages that I prefer, and you've probably seen me talk about this quite a lot. It is the human mage combination, which is essentially this. I just need to think about what extra we need on the front line. Yes. Oh, so with that 6 mage build, you also want to add a Shadow Devil. Sorry, I should have put that forward, but you need to have a Shadow Devil in there as well, because it's a really, really good extra piece of magic damage. So 3 mages there, Shadow Devil, Werewolf, and Pirate Captain and Werewolf. That gives you the 6. And then basically from this point, it's whatever you want to add to bulk your lineup out. I often end up going things like Storm Shaman, because that gives me a little bit of counter play to anybody else. Just having a look at what else I might build. Yeah, and then I basically add legendaries. Helicopter's a good one. This is a good level 8 addition. A lot of high damage burst. You can add Blight Sorcerer, you can add God of Thunder, whatever you want. But yeah, it's just the classic human mages build. Very, very strong. And I think, you know, mages in general, either 6 mage or human 3 mage or even cave mages, are all really, really good on this current update. I think they're sort of the 3rd place. The next build that I want to talk about is Feathered Assassin. You'll have seen me do this loads and loads on my... You'll have seen me do this loads and loads and loads on my channel if you've been watching me over the course of however long you've been watching me. This is a really, really simple build that is incredibly strong and beats a lot of things in the meta right now. Even in good situations, can go even with mages, and if the hunter build is not 6 hunters, it will beat hunters. That's the good thing about feathered, is it's really easy to get 6 feathered, and 6 feathered will do well against 3 hunters because they won't have the amount of evasion piercing necessary. 6 hunters, however, usually will end up beating 6 feathered because they're directly designed to counter. And obviously now that 6 hunters are easier to achieve, the 6 feathered build has been a little bit hit. But overall, this is a really, really strong feathered build that I think you can lose streak into. It's so easy to 3-star your druids, so that's what you want to focus on. You can actually play Feathered Hunter as well. I've tried it out. I still think Feathered Assassin is the superior build, so that's the one that I'm going to recommend. But if you want to play Feathered Hunter, the way that I would suggest playing it is, you need Shining Archer in there. I would take out the Assassins. I would put in Lightblade Knight. And then I'd just add a front line of the Pirate Captain and whatever else, Werewolf, for instance, if you want to. Or just go for Razorclaw 3 plus Werewolf, whatever you want to do there as well. It'll just give you sort of a more tanky front line. But that's the way you could play 3 Hunters, 6 Feathered. But I still think 6 Feathered, 3 Assassin is the better way to play this particular build. And it's, again, a really strong build in the current meta. Thoroughly just either pick up Druids early on and upgrade your Druids ASAP. Look as a primary... early transition out of Assassins into Feathered, or just lose streak straight into picking up Druids, and then as soon as you get that 6 Feathered online, look for the Assassins. 4th place build, which I think is incredibly good, just because of the changes to Warlock, is literally Glacier Knights. So not Glacier 6 Knights, this is Glacier 4 Knights, because the addition of the 2... One second. The addition of the 2 Warlock bonus has made this build so good at level 8. You basically just pick up all the Knights that you can, try and 2-star a Hell Knight, 2-star a Lightblade Knight early on, get all of the Glacier clan, and then put a Soul Reaper in there. You've got Warlock, Igursis, 4 Knight, you've got the Demon buff in your Hell Knight, you've got the full Glacier buff, you've got a very strong comp at level 8. It's super strong. You don't really even need to move it further past this, but you can add extra Knights, or you can add utility pieces, which is what I usually end up doing if I go to level 9. But you just focus on 2-starring Hell Knight, you focus on 2-starring Lightblade Knight, and that is it. 3-star Hell Knight, 3-star Lightblade Knight, and then everything else can be a 2-star. It's very good versus almost everything in the meta, but it is one of those builds that if you don't get 3-star Lightblade Knight, and you don't get 3-star Hell Knight, it falls off really hard and can get beaten by things like Mages, it can get beaten by things like Beast Warrior. It's one of those builds that if you get 3 stars, it will beat almost anything. If you don't get 3 stars, it's actually not particularly strong versus too many things, but will beat a lot of the weaker people in the game. Because a really good warrior comp, a really good beast warrior comp, a fully stacked mage comp, a good hunter comp will all end up beating this if you don't have that 3-star Hell Knight or 3-star Lightblade Knight later in the game, and they do. But Mid-game at level 8, it's a really strong build now if you get it online, so thoroughly recommend Glacier Knight again. I think it's a super good build that's underrated because of the nerfs that Knights have taken, so don't feel afraid to go for Glacier Knight. I think it's really strong. So I did say 5 builds, but I've realised there are way too many good builds in the meta right now, and I obviously haven't talked about Gods, which is still super strong. I haven't talked about a couple of the other builds that I wanted to touch on as well. Let's have a think what other builds are out there that... Oh, Assassins, just pure Assassins. So I think I kind of want to touch on Assassins and Gods as my final build. So Assassins is... I'm going to show you the build that I like to do with Assassins, and you guys can kind of do whatever you want with it. This is super simple. It is this pure Assassin build right here. I think this is the best Assassin build you can get. Level 8, don't go any higher than level 8. Look to 3-star your Assassins. Specifically look to 3-star Shadow Crawler, Abyssal Crawler, Phantom Queen. Those are the 3 big 3-stars that you want. Water Spirit and Lord of Sand can wait. Now, you don't need to use these Assassins. Any 6 Assassins will do. I just think these are the best 6 Assassin combos you can get. You can add Soulbreaker because he's easy to 3-star. You can add Venom if you want to. He's a good ranged assassin which can help you versus some heavy armor matchups. For instance, he's got a lot of magic damage as well, so you can take out one of your armor-based or sort of physical damage-based assassins and put him in. He's got a lot of single target damage, which is nice, and you could get lucky with that spit. But this is like a really easy build to play because you can pick up 3 assassins early on, snowball it. You usually go Goblin Mech Assassin, sell your Goblins, pick up the Druids, go 6 Assassins, get the Druids on the field, level 8, bam, there you go, Bob's your uncle, easy build, done. And it's still a good build right now. Weaker because Knight Glacier is strong, weaker because Beast Warrior is strong, weaker because 6 mages can burst it out. It's not as strong as it was maybe an update ago, but it's still a really, really good build, and I do think that you guys should practice it because it's something that if you're offered Assassins is still super good. Can't really talk about builds without talking about Gods. I definitely think they're much weaker than they were. God of War is no longer the infinite tank that he used to be. Oh my god, it's so hot in here. But this is a build that you just basically, you go if you get a level 2 God of War early and you pick up things like the Source, the Thunder Spirit, the Feathered Dragon, which would help you transition into a later game Mage build. You sub out Feathered Dragon usually for God of Thunder, but you don't have to. You don't have to include Siren, for instance, if you don't have a mana generation item on her. It's nice to have mana generation like Magic Crystal and Elf Headwear on Siren in this build because she doesn't generate mana through her ultimate. So things like Thunder Spirit, things like God of Thunder, things like Soul Reaper, they deal damage with their abilities, so they generate mana back. Siren doesn't, so she needs mana generation and attack damage to be able to generate her mana herself. So that's an interesting part of this build. So you can keep Feather Dragon in there if you want to. You can add Blight Sorcerer if you take out Soul Reaper, but just remember not to have 2 race classes. Don't have 2 humans, don't have 2 spirits, whatever. Still super strong though, still unbeatable. The best late game build there is if you can find God of Thunder, but it's much, much harder to secure your mid game now because with all these really big, strong mid game teams coming out, usually you'll get beaten unless you get incredibly lucky and find God of Thunder early. You can force gods, but if you don't find God of Thunder early, things like Beast Warrior, Knight Glacier, they're all going to beat you from round 20 onwards, so you need to be very careful. Still a very, very strong build. Still something that I think beats everything in the late game, struggles versus almost everything in the mid game unless you're snowballing. But is still, in my eyes, one of the best builds out there. So those are the 7 builds that I think are sort of top tier in meta right now. And you should all go and practice them, because they are very good. Oh, and thank you for listening, by the way. I have been very hot in here, but hopefully it was good.